We are live.
But just know you.
Huh? No me. Let me get the PowerPoint started here. All right.
Does he say, this is not Paul?
Yeah, this is not Paul. I'm substituting for
always
Paul.
can.
I'm going to try not to steal Paul's thunder today. We're here to read Parashah Beha'alotcha, when you set up. I went and found a photo of the tabernacle in the wilderness. Now, the cloud moves in this parashah. We'll read about that. Move to the second page. So we should have read Beha'alotcha, Numbers 8:1 through 12:16. If everybody's got, you should have handouts. Hopefully, if you got them, you don't need them, I can let you use my tablet here and read those. The Haftarah for this was Zechariah 2:14 through 4:7. And in the New Testament is 1 Corinthians 10:6 through 13, and Revelation 11:1 through 19. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, just a quick overview of what's in today's Torah portion. We'll discuss the setting up of the 7 lampstands, the consecration of the Levites, Passover at Sinai, the instructions for the silver trumpets, Israel's departure from Sinai, grumbling in the wilderness, and Miriam and Aaron speak against Moses' wife for he married a Cushite. All right, customary to do the blessing. So here we are with the blessing. Everybody join me, please. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us in his commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. And in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzvianu le'asok v'devarei Torah. Okay, in this one, this is one of my little deviations that not necessarily a deviation, but something struck me when I was reading and trying to learn some Hebrew words and stuff like that. Olam, and it's translated here as universe, and I keep every time I've seen it in the Bible, when I come across it, I don't see it as forever, and that just struck me. King of the universe, King of forever. That just struck me. So something I just enjoyed. Figured I'd share that.
Your screen's only showing about 3 words there. I didn't know if you wanted to show the whole screen or.
I don't know if I can fix that.
Okay.
I think I would have to completely reformat.
Okay.
Too much time,
That's really going to stink if the rest of this is like that. Okay.
I go get John.
He'll have to configure like all the slides. Is that one showing up okay? No?
Oh, now it is.
Okay.
It's still way too big. You only got a couple of.
Okay.
inches.
I'm hoping that doesn't continue too bad. All right. We want.
Yeah, this is not Paul. I'm substituting for Paul.
No, I think that's.
We're here to read
Man. Obviously, I'm not Paul. A lot of technical difficulties today, and I
Yeah, but we
apologize.
watched Paul have that too.
He's been through plenty.
Okay. Whenever we want to be near God, we want people to like the things we like and dislike the things we dislike. Empirically, then, we want to love the things God loves and hate the things God hates. Everyone knows what empirical means, right? We've hit that a few times. 1 John 5:3, it says, "For this is love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome." Matthew 5:17 and 18, "Do not think that I've come to destroy the law or prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot, one tittle, by no means shall pass from the law, till all is fulfilled." Paul in his notes here has his favorite word. Talks about heed. Folks should have heeded the warnings, pay attention, take notice, attend to, listen to, take into consideration, be guided by, follow, obey, keep, adhere, abide by, observe, take to heart, give ear to, be alert, be cautious, and watch out for. Okay, in the first part of whenever we talk about, whenever we begin the parashah, Numbers 8:1, now Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron, and say to him, when you set up the lamps, and the 7 lamps shall give light in front of the lampstands. And Aaron did so. He set up its lamps in front of the lampstand, as Yahweh commanded Moses. So Proverbs 6:23, for the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. The spirit of man is in the lamp, the Lord searching all of the innermost parts. Proverbs 20:27. Shafat Emet. Does anyone know Shafat Emet? That's the language of truth, translated. I'll hit one more Proverbs and we'll move on to reading. Proverbs 18:21 and 22. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Okay. There we go. Now Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you set up the lamps, and 7 lamps will give light in front of the lampstand. And Aaron did so. He set up its lamps in front of the lampstand, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And this was the workmanship of the lampstand, hammered work of gold from its base to its followers. It was hammered work, according to the pattern that Yahweh had shown Moses. So he had made the lampstand. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites and from amongst the people of Israel and cleanse them. Thus you shall do to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle the water of purification upon them, and let them go with a razor over all the body, and wash their clothes, and cleanse themselves. Then let them take a bull from the herd, and its grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and you shall take another bull from the herd for a sin offering. And you shall bring the Levites before the tent of meeting, and assemble the whole congregation of Israel. When you bring the Levites before Yahweh, the people of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites, and Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh, as a wave offering from the people of Israel, that they may do the service of Yahweh. Then the Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the bulls, and you shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering to Yahweh, to make atonement for the Levites. And you shall set the Levites before Aaron and his sons, and shall offer them as a wave offering to Yahweh. Thus you shall separate the Levites from among the people, and the Levites shall be mine. Questions or didn't come up on here. I'm prepared for that. Okay. What does Beha'alotcha mean? Everybody see that? It's when you set up. So this parashah starts off with the setting up of the lamps, the 7 lamps. If you read if you read the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, you should have read, starting in the first part of Revelation, you'll see the 7 lamps of the 7 churches. Also, when we're talking about the hammered work of the lampstand, and when talking about the lamp, the commandment is a lamp, or the Proverbs 6:23, the commandment is a lamp and the law a light, right? So that hammered work also talks about how does the oil get put in there? It's pressed olives, right? So the pressures and stresses in life, if we get hunkered down and all that, out of that can come good fruits that we see and find Yahweh. We find to take refuge in Him and in His Word, right? So that's all of this, I believe, is to teach us and show us. Whenever we look at how the menorah was put together, it's hammered out of one piece. Nothing gets separated out of it. It's all hammered out of one piece and ends up giving light to the inner portions of the sanctuary.
That's kind of a big piece.
Yeah, 60. It was 1 talent, correct? Or that's 66 pounds of gold, I believe.
Good God.
Heavy. All right. How was the menorah kindled within the tabernacle?
With the wicks from the clothes of the priest.
Okay, the menorah had 7 boat-shaped lamps, one for each branch, and each lamp was filled with the purest olive oil. The wicks were positioned by either bending them toward the center or clamping them down between the bowl and the cover. Aaron lit the lamps daily from evening until morning, from right to left. And that's in Exodus 27:21. Aaron and his sons are to put it in the tent of meeting outside the curtain in front of the testimony and keep it burning from evening till morning before Adonai. This is to be a permanent regulation through all the generations in the people of Israel. What miracle is associated with the menorah? Hanukkah.
Yeah, the oil lasting for 7 days when it should have been done one day.
Yeah, Hanukkah's 8, I believe it's 8 days, but
Yeah.
each lamp held about 9 ounces of the purest olive oil, sufficient to burn throughout the night. According to the Talmud, Shabbat 22b, while all the lamps received the same amount of olive oil, to the westernmost lamp, according to Rashi, the center lamp, due to its orientation, never ran out of oil, even though it was kindled first in the sequence. When Aaron would rekindle the lamps every evening, he found the shamash still burning. The shamash is also to the son or the servant, correct? Why were the Levites chosen to serve at the tabernacle?
Because they were the only ones that didn't rebel.
The golden calf incident. They were the ones that didn't. So
Counting Aaron, that is.
the firstborn sons of Israel were responsible, except for the Levites. They protected and fought against it. So because the firstborn sons of other tribes were responsible for the golden calf, God chose the Levites instead of them in their place. Are the Levites the priests of Israel?
Yes.
Not necessarily. Some portions, right? It wasn't Levites as a whole. You had the Kohathites and all those other that carried. Some just carried stuff. There were 3 clans of Levites: the Gershonites, Merarites, and the Kohathites. But only those Kohathites who descended from Aaron were qualified to be priests. God gave the other Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons for helping maintain the tabernacle and help offer sacrifices on behalf of the people. So while all the priests are Levites, not all Levites are priests. Okay, for time, I think we'll move on to the next one. Somebody want to volunteer to read number 2?
Okay, I will. And after the Levites shall go in to serve at the tent of meeting, when you have cleansed them and offered them as a wave offering, for they are wholly given to me from among the people of Israel. Instead of all who open the womb, the firstborn of all the people of Israel, I have taken them for myself. For all the firstborn among the people of Israel are mine, both of man and of beast. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated them for myself, and I have taken the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the people of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons from among the people of Israel, to do the service for the people of Israel at the tent of meeting, and to make atonement for the people of Israel, that they may be no plague among the people of Israel when the people of Israel come near the sanctuary. Thus did Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the people of Israel to the Levites, according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses concerning the Levites, the people of Israel did to them. And the Levites purified themselves from sin and washed their clothes, and Aaron offered them as a wave offering before Yehovah. And Aaron made atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that, the Levites went in to do their service in the tent of meeting before Aaron and his sons, as Yahweh had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so they did to them. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, This applies to the Levites from 25 years old and upward. They shall come to do duty in the service of the tent of meeting. And from the age of 50 years they shall withdraw from the duty of the service and serve no more. They minister to their brothers in the tent of meeting by keeping guard, but they shall do no service. Thus shall you do to the Levites in assigning their duties.
What were they keeping guard of? Do you know?
Keep the people from getting too close.
Yeah, the people from, like Nadab and Abihu, right? They were priests. They did something wrong, and they were really close to Yahweh and where he was in the center of the tabernacle, and they died instantly.
Does that include stray animals?
Well, that was the
Sure.
warning at the base of Sinai when they were told not to get too close. That even the animals would die if they got too close.
When,
Thank you.
yeah, when we hit that in the past. Okay, sorry.
Oh, we get ahead of you?
No, man.
And even the animals, if they went too close to Sinai, were to get stoned. So,
Okay. What ages did the Levites begin their service at the tabernacle?
25.
30.
30,
25.
25.
They could serve until age 50, after which they became guards and singers at their tabernacle. What were the waters of purification used to cleanse the Levites? The water of purification, how did you get the water of purification?
From the meshes of the red heifer.
From the ashes of the red heifer,
Added
the para adamah, used to cleanse from contact with death. Why were the Levites required to shave off their hair and immerse in water before they could serve at the tabernacle?
God said so.
Was it like a Nazarite vow?
That seems to me, because they shaved off all their hair. I didn't see, and they offered burnt offerings. I didn't see where they added their hair to that. But I'm kind of curious if they didn't already walk through that. They didn't already know. They were already separating themselves to Yahweh. I wouldn't say it's not. I don't have what the sages say about that, but
Probably something similar.
it seems very similar to me. And also it's talking about whenever they immersed in water and all that, a spiritual rebirth, kind of like we know as baptism today. Because baptism, we all know, is not a New Testament concept. It's been going on as a mikvah. Somebody like to read parashah number 3,
I will.
or aliyah number 3, I should say.
And Yahweh spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they had come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Let the people of Israel keep the Passover at its appointed time. On the 14th day of this month, at twilight, you shall keep it at its appointed time. According to all its statutes and all its rules, you shall keep it. So Moses told the people of Israel that they should keep the Passover, and they kept the Passover in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses. So the people of Israel did, and there were certain men who were unclean through touching a dead body, so that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and Aaron on that day. And those men said to him, We are unclean through touching a dead body. Why are we kept from Yahweh's offering at its appointed time among the people of Israel? And Moses said to them, Wait that I may hear what Yahweh will command concerning you. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, If any one of you or your descendants is unclean through touching a dead body, or is on a long journey, he shall still keep the Passover to Yahweh in the second month on the 14th day. At twilight they shall keep it. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any of its bones. According to all the statute for the Passover they shall keep it. But if anyone who is clean and is not on a journey fails to keep the Passover, that person shall be cut off from his people, because he did not bring Yahweh's offering at the appointed time. That man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger sojourns among you and would keep the Passover to Yahweh according to the statute of the Passover and according to its rule, so shall he do. You shall have one statute both for the sojourner and the native.
So wait, what we've been taught by churches where there's one rule for the non-Jew and there's another rule for the Jew is wrong?
Well, I would say that was covered when the question was asked in the New Testament about is he God of the Jews only? No, he's God of everybody. All right, the first Passover at Sinai, the cloud and fire. So this will be the first Passover they celebrated after they departed Egypt. We all know that the Passover is what freed them. The blood of the Lamb freed them from the bondage to slavery in Egypt, just as Yeshua's blood, the blood of the Lamb, frees us from bondage to slavery. We don't have to sin anymore. We can leave it. So when did God tell Moses that the people were to observe Passover in the desert?
First month, 14th day.
Yeah, first month, second year, 2 weeks before the anniversary of Exodus 9:1. Why did God allow for a second chance Passover celebration?
In case somebody was had touched a dead body or was on a journey.
Correct. If someone was legitimately unable to observe Passover on the 14th day of the first month at twilight, he was given the opportunity to observe it a month later on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. If you guys, whenever we went through Pesach, if y'all saw that, if you've heard Pesach Sheni, it's Sheni 2. Could a stranger observe the Passover?
Yes,
Yes. If they follow the same
guidelines.
guidelines,
Yes.
rules, and statutes.
I didn't go and stick it in here, but I stumbled across Isaiah 56:6 the other day. For all the foreigners who were joining themselves to God and not profane his Sabbath, which if you were blowing off Passover, you would essentially be blowing off Sabbath. The first day of unleavened bread is the Sabbath. So yes, there is one ordinance for the stranger and for those born in the land. Okay. He didn't have a lot of questions on this one. Would somebody like to read number 4 for us?
I will. On the day that the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of testimony, and at evening it was over the tabernacle like the appearance of fire until morning. So it was always the cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And whenever the cloud lifted from over the tent, after that the people of Israel set out. And in the place where the cloud had settled down, there the people of Israel camped. At the command of Yahweh, the people of Israel set out, and at the command of Yahweh they camped. As long as the cloud rested over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. Even when the cloud continued over the tabernacle many days, the people of Israel kept the charge of Yahweh and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was a few days over the tabernacle, and according to the command of Yahweh, they remained in camp. Then according to the command of Yahweh, they set out. And sometimes the cloud remained from evening until morning, and when the cloud lifted in the morning, they set out. Or if it continued for a day and a night, when the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether it was 2 days, a month, or a longer time, that the cloud continued over the tabernacle, abiding there, the people of Israel remained in camp and did not set out. But when it lifted, they set out. At the command of Yahweh they camped, and at the command of Yahweh they set out. They kept the charge of Yahweh at the command of Yahweh by Moses. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Make 2 silver trumpets. Of hammered work you shall make them, and you shall use them for summoning the congregation and for breaking camp. And when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. But if they blow only one, then the chiefs, the heads of the tribes of Israel, shall gather themselves to you. When you blow an alarm, the camps that are on the east side shall set out. And when you blow an alarm the second time, the camps that are on the south side shall set out. An alarm is to be blown whenever they are to set out. But when the assembly is to be gathered together, you shall blow a long blast, but you shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow the trumpets. The trumpets shall be to you for a perpetual statute throughout your generation. And when you go to war in your land against the adversary who oppresses you, then you shall sound an alarm with the trumpets, that you may be remembered before Yahweh your God, and you shall be saved from your enemies. On the day of your gladness also, and at your appointed feasts, and at the beginning of your months, you shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings. They shall be as a reminder of you before your God. I am Yahweh your God.
Are the events in this Aliyah, this portion of the parashah, are they in chronological order?
I don't think so.
No.
No, the book of Numbers begins with the statement that the Lord spoke to Moses on the first day in the second month of the second year, and they had come out of the land of Egypt. But the events described in Numbers 9:1 are said to occur in the first month of the second year. I didn't notice that when I was reading it. I skipped right over that. Moreover, the events describing how the Shekinah cloud covered the tent of meeting were also described at the end of the book of Exodus. When did the Israelites leave Mount Sinai?
A year later?
Well, they did Passover, right, at Sinai. So we know it was in the second year, and then we know it was after Passover. And then they allowed some folks to do the Pesach Shani, right? So that happened. So in the second year, the second month, on the 20th day of the month, about a year after they first arrived. How did the people know when God wanted them to travel and when to stop?
The
Watch the cloud.
cloud of fire or pillar of smoke would move from off the tabernacle.
When the cloud covered the tent, they camped, and when it lifted, they traveled. Correct. What protected the Israelites as they traveled and led the way?
Cloud of smoke and a cloud of fire.
The clouds of glory surrounded the camps, and the Ark of the Covenant traveled 3 days ahead of them. Why did God instruct Moses to make 2 silver trumpets?
So they would know what was
Communications.
going on.
Summoning the
Both the priests used them to summon the camps, to call the leaders to the tabernacle, to lead the charge in battles, to convoke holy assemblies for the people. Convoke. He's got the definition of convoking here. Formal call together or summon an assembly meeting. She sent messages convoking council of ministers. God calls us to be one together in relationship with Him. Somebody else want to read number 5, or would you like me to hit those?
I can.
You get it?
That's-
Thank you. I think that's a long one, actually.
You think?
Stepped in where she needed
I think you knew where you were going.
Well, that's usually my spot, isn't it?
Seems to be a habit.
In the second year, in the second month, on the 20th day of the month, the cloud lifted from over the tabernacle of the testimony, and the people of Israel set out by stages from the wilderness of Sinai. And the cloud settled down in the wilderness of Paran. They set out for the first time at the command of Yahweh by Moses. The standard of the camp of the people of Judah set out first by their companies, and over the company was Dishon, the son of Amminadab. And over the company of the tribe of the people of Issachar was Nathanael, the son of Zuar. And over the company of the tribe of the people of Zebulun was Eli, the son of Helon. And when the tabernacle was taken down, the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari, who carried the tabernacle, set out. And the standard of the camp of Reuben set out by their companies. And over their company was Elizur, the son of Shadur. And over the company of the tribe of the people of Simeon was Shalumiel, the son of Zerushadai. That was a tough one. And over the company of the tribe of the people of Gad was Eliasaph, the son of Deuel. Then the Kohathites set out carrying the holy things, and the tabernacle was set up before their arrival. And the standard of the camp of the people of Ephraim set out by their companies, and over their company was Elishama, the son of Ammihud, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Manasseh was Gamaliel, the son of Pedasur, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Benjamin was Abidan, the son of Gideoni. Then the standard of the camp of the people of Dan, acting as the rear guard of all the camp set out by their companies. And over their company was Ahazer, the son of Ammishaddai, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Asher was Pagiel, the son of Okran. And over the company of the tribe of the people of Naphtali was Ahara, the son of Enon. This was the order of march of the people of Israel by their companies when they set out. Now name all those people in order.
I will if I read it. All right, what camp moved first when the Israelites traveled?
Yehuda.
Judah.
The camp of Yehuda, which included the camps of Issachar and Zebulun. Which two clans of the Levites were to carry the tabernacle when it moved?
Merari.
Gershonites.
The Gershonites moved the tent and the courtyard materials, and the Merarites carried the wooden beams, etc. The two clans followed the path of Yehuda, which was led by the Ark of the Covenant. When they arrived at a new resting place, they set up the tabernacle for the Kohathites to come and place the sacred furnishings inside. Which clan carried the furnishings of the sanctuary? The Kohathites. Look, answer the question with a question. Alright, I'll go ahead and read number 6 and 7 when we get to it. And Moses said to Hobab, the son of Reuel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, "We are setting out for the place which Yahweh said, I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will do good to you, for Yahweh has promised good to Israel." But he said to him, "I will not go. I will depart to my own land and to my kindred." And he said, "Please do not leave us, for you know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you will serve as eyes for us. And if you do go with us, whatever good Yahweh will do to us, the same we do to you." So they set out from the mount of Yahweh 3 days' journey. And the ark of the covenant of Yahweh went before them 3 days' journey, to seek out a resting place for them. And the cloud of Yahweh was over them by day whenever they set out from the camp. And whenever the ark set out, Moses said, "Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you." And when it rested, he said, "Return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel." And the people complained in the hearing of Yahweh about their misfortunes. And when Yahweh heard it, his anger was kindled. And the fire of Yahweh burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. When the people cried out to Moses, Moses prayed to Yahweh, and the fire died down. So the name of that place was called Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burned among them. Now the rabble that was among them had a strong craving, and the people of Israel also wept again, "Oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. But now our strength is dried up, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like that of bdellium. The people went out and gathered it, and ground it in mills, or beat it in mortars, and boiled it in pots, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was like the taste of cakes baked with oil. When the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell with it. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, everyone at the door of his tent, and anger of Yahweh blazed hotly. And Moses was displeased. Moses said to Yahweh, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I give them birth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries a nursing child, to the land that I swore to give their fathers. Where am I to get meat to give to all this people? For they weep before me and say, give us meat that we may eat. For I am not able to carry this people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once. If I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people, officers over them, and bring them to the tent of meeting. And let them take their stand there with you, and I will come down and talk to you there. And I will take some of the Spirit that is on you and put it on them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, that you may not bear it yourself alone. And say to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow you shall eat meat. For you have wept you have wept in the hearing of Yahweh, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it is better for us in Egypt. Therefore Yahweh will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall not eat just 1 day, for 2 days, or 5 days, or 10 days, or 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you. Because you have rejected Yahweh, who is among you, and I have wept before him, saying, why did we come out of Egypt? But Moses said, the people among him, I am number 600,000 on foot, and you have said, I will give them meat, that they may eat the whole month. Shall flocks and herds be slaughtered for them, and be enough for them? Or shall the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, and be enough for them? And Yahweh said to Moses, is Yahweh's hand shortened? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. So Moses went out and told the people the words of Yahweh, and he gathered 70 men of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. Then Yahweh came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the Spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. And as soon as the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they did not continue doing it. Now 2 men remained in the camp, one Eldad and the other Medad, and the Spirit rested on them. They were among those registered, but they had not gone out of the tent, so they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua, son of Nun, the assistant of Moses from his youth, said to my Lord Moses, stop them. But Moses said to them, are you jealous for my sake? Would that all Yahweh's people were prophets, and Yahweh would put his Spirit on them.
Kind of a prophecy.
A little bit. All right, before the ark was dispatched to depart, what would Moses pray? Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. When the cloud stopped moving above the ark, Moses understood the people had reached a new camping location. What did Moses say after the tabernacle was reassembled?
Return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel.
Yes, that's correct. What happened 3 days after the camps left Sinai? The people began grumbling. The people.
We remember.
Yeah, we haven't hit that one. They first grumbled just a little bit, and he brought down fire. Right, and that place was called Taberah.
I thought they had their flocks and herds with them when they left Egypt. What are they driving about?
That we were back in slavery because it was so much better for us.
In I guess the sages say this one, but it said it is likely the original 70 elders were also killed, since Moses was instructed later to select 70 more. And that place was called Taberah. Who are the Erev Rav? Okay. I've seen a couple things on the Erev Rav. It's the mixed multitude here who left with the Israelites and during Exodus from Egypt. One of Brad Scott's teaching that I watch quite often talks about the Erev Rav a little bit, and it talks about there's many more than we know rabbis, Orthodox rabbis in Israel and around Jerusalem that believe today, but they won't talk about it. And to speak with them, that I understand the Erev Rav is kind of like if you take the word, what's in our midst, the Erev Rav is the people that are in their midst. Now, those of them that are in their midst that really don't have Israel or service to God as part of their best interest. You know, there's people in every group that don't have that group that's in the midst, getting in there and stirring in. That's the whole purge the evil from your camp thing.
Well, even Yeshua had the guy that turned him in. So
Yes, there was one right in his midst, right in
Judas.
right in his face, right there with him, sharing his bread. That's my understanding of the current what they call the Erev Rav, at least today. I'd have to go dig up some more on that to get
Well, but wouldn't
a
also,
solid piece.
wouldn't it also work the other way? In the midst of the orthodoxy of Israel, we have these that are really believers, and they will start shining forth and bring others into the light
Mm.
at some time.
When it became apparent that the complaints of the people were too much for Moses to handle alone, what did God do?
told him to grab 70 elders and
Appointed many.
that he would put some of the spirit on Moses onto the 70 elders, and they would help him.
And yes, and then there were two that were prophesying that didn't come, right? So in the New Testament, Yeshua sends out how many?
70.
He sends out 72.
72, that's right.
He sent out 72 with the Spirit, and they came back joyful and having spread the word. I missed that connection last year, the two,
Well, it's two
and then
prophets.
Yeah.
Like the two witnesses too, though.
I thought that there was a lower. Yes, that's what I'm curious about. How did God regard the tears of self-pity shed by the Israelites?
Anger.
He told them they would eat
So they got sick of it.
flesh till they came out their nostrils and got sick of it.
Well, he regarded it as a rejection. So I think it's very easy or that we see that a lot of that today. Like, I'm saved, but I don't want to stop doing the things that I'm doing that aren't right. You know, he did it all for me, so I can keep doing this.
Not set apart.
Right. And I've seen folks teach his act of obedience on our behalf, and me hearing that kind of stings. It just hits me pretty hard. His act of obedience. When we read Hebrews 10:26, we see that for continued habitual sin, no sacrifice remains. So, and even Paul, Romans 6:1, shall we continue to sin so that grace may abound?
God forbid.
By no means. And in 6:2 he says, excuse me. And in 6:2 he asks the question, how can we who have died to sin still live in it? So those things, to me, that is also presuming upon him, which I believe. Sorry, I'm going to get rolling.
Keep your servant
In
righteous.
Romans 2:4, it says, "O man, do you presume upon his richest kindness and abundance? Do you not know that his kindness is meant to lead us to repentance?" So it's all, to me, it's all repentance and stop sinning.
Well, the way the churches say today, he took care of everything on the cross, so I can go rob a bank and then immediately ask for forgiveness, and he'll forgive me.
And I can't remember there was some reality show I think that I heard about or somebody told me about. It was a group of people they robbed houses for a living basically, and they were getting together and their leader and maybe it was even a parent, they stopped and said a prayer. May these people come back from robbing this place safely and with good. It's
With a good return.
yeah. Seeing some of these things these days, it's just it hurts really bad in a Psalm 119, 136 way. You guys know that one, right?
Psalm 19:13, keep back your servant from presumptuous sins. Too.
Say that again.
Back your servant from presumptuous sins, let them not have dominion over me.
Yes.
Psalm 19:13.
I'm gonna have to do one. 119, 136 says, my eyes shed rivers of tears, for they do not obey your law. So we see sin, it hurts. All right, number 7. And Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. Then a wind from Yahweh sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and a day's journey on that side, around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the ground. And the people rose all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. Those who gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. While the meat was yet still between their teeth, before it was consumed, the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the people, and Yahweh struck down the people with a very great plague. Therefore, the name of that place is called Kibroth Hatavah, because there they buried people who had the craving. From Kibroth Hatavah, the people journeyed from Hazeroth and they journeyed to Hazeroth, and they remained at Hazeroth. Miriam and Aaron spoke to Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, Has Yahweh indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? And Yahweh heard it. Now the man Moses was very weak, more than all people who were on the face of the earth. And suddenly Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron and Miriam, Come out, you 3, to the tent of meeting. And the 3 of them came out. And Yahweh came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forward. And he said, Hear my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, clearly, and not in riddles. And he beholds the form of Yahweh. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against him, and he departed. When the cloud was removed from over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous, like snow. And Aaron turned to Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moses, O my Lord, do not punish us, because we have done foolishly and have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, whose flesh is half eaten away, when he comes out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried to Yahweh, O God, please heal her, please. But Yahweh said to Moses, If her father had but spit in her face, would she not be shamed 7 days? Let her be shut outside the camp 7 days, and after that she may be brought in again. So Miriam was shut outside the camp 7 days, and the people did not set out on the march till Miriam was brought in again. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. What was the sin at Miriam that caused her to become a leper?
I think she was questioning Moses' authority, and she thought that was her little brother. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Why shouldn't she get a little bit of the glory?
Yeah, to me it's kind of the same when the sons of, and I forget the name as soon as I go to say that. Korah, yeah, the sons of Korah
Same thing.
that wanted to be priests, so they didn't want to accept their lot in life. They
Right.
wanted the glory.
Yep.
All about stealing God's glory.
God will not share his glory.
So Lashon Hara, she questioned Moses' treatment of his wife and Moses' role as Israel's mediator of the covenant. If both Aaron and Miriam sinned, why was only Miriam punished? I don't know either. I can't read it into the scriptures. Whatever it was, we know that God is a just God, and it was just for what He had His purpose.
Aaron was anointed.
Yeah.
There's one thing about this
Miriam
particular
spoke.
scripture. It talks about the Cushite woman. Now, wasn't he married to a Midianite woman before? That's the question I've got to ask. Because he has a different father-in-law in this particular portion.
You sure?
As we read it a while ago.
Yeah, I would have to go back and read that.
Miriam's the one
I am not prepared to answer that one, but that was
Why can't we?
she would have
Aaron
been
didn't say it.
son of Jethro.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I think Miriam was punished and not Aaron was because Aaron had to do the rites for Miriam so she could come back into the camp. if Aaron had got punished as well, there would have been nobody really there to do the rites, so either one of them could come back in the camp.
But I think
I agree with that, except I think Moses could have done it. Moses was like
But
the
Aaron
earlier.
was the high priest.
He was the high priest, but Moses, I think, also was a priest. I don't know.
I think it's because
That's an
Miriam-
interesting
Miriam's
point.
the one that spoke it though. Is why does Moses only? She's the one that said it. Aaron didn't say it. That's why she got it.
Huh.
She opened her mouth.
And the sages say, again, this is not in the Bible, but the sages say it was Miriam who spoke the words, just as you say. Though Aaron consented by listening, perhaps Aaron was not punished, just as he wasn't punished for the sin of the golden calf, because he was the peacemaker who always gave the benefit of the doubt to others. When Israelites first left Egypt, they grumbled about the lack of food God provided them with manna. However, in the episode recounted in this portion, God judges the people for their ingratitude and faithlessness. Why the difference? God described Moses as being faithful in my house. The book of Hebrews elaborates that Moses was faithful as a servant to testify to the things that were spoken later. But Messiah is faithful over God's house as a son. Okay, this says discuss. This is talking about, we're going to talk about Yeshua. I don't have a whole lot of stuff, but we'll just have to have a conversation. Discuss the analogy of why Yeshua is greater than Moses as the builder of the house and greater than the house itself. Not to overstate the obvious, but he's God's son. He's God
Yeah, he is.
taken on flesh, and the Word become flesh to dwell among us. Some of the things that I've been thinking about a whole bunch, and talking to people, I was hitting James and seeing that just really struck me, where even the demons believe and they tremble. In between, faith without works is dead and faith without works is useless. That just really hit me. But some of the other stuff, whenever we hear Christian songs or any music or anything like that talking about He is my refuge, taking refuge in God. So I can't, whenever I hear those things, I can't get past John 1:1, right? John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So you can't separate God from His Word. So to me, taking refuge is fleeing from sin to God's Word, because it was Matthew 22:37-40, right? It was love Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself, and on these two depends all the law and prophets. So it's love. Run back to the love. Run back to God's love. Why? Don't be sinful. Why? Because He wants to hang out with us. He wants us to draw near to Him so He can draw near to us.
Yes.
So if we sin, we separate ourselves from Him. In the beginning, the first thing that happened was the sin, the separation of light from dark.
Is it Ezekiel that warned us about taking refuge in the refuge of lies? I mean, it says it will pass through almost like a hailstorm. And they're taking refuge in lies. They're not taking refuge in His truth. Like you said, going back to the Word, He is the Word.
Yes, and the analogies that we see in the New Testament about turning back is like a dog going back to its own vomit,
Yeah.
or a man looking in the mirror and forget what he looks like. So
Oh.
I think all of that applies here. Is we want to go back to Egypt where all of this stuff, except for, is not the stuff that God provides so much better
It is.
in His Word.
They didn't have to plant or plow that manna. It just came down around. All they had to do was harvest. And
Yes.
there's another thing about just the harvest. They didn't have to plant or plow. Holy Spirit did that.
And then just to be satisfied with what God gave us, whether it's great or small.
Yeah.
Be content.
Don't worry about your keto diet.
I don't think if they had asked, God would have gotten mad at them.
Instead of griping.
Moses, hey, we want to know if God will give us some meat, along with, because we're kind of.
Well, they had, that's something else to kind of take. They had meat. There was sacrifices happening, right?
Herds and flocks.
So they had meat. They had they had herds, they had flocks. I don't
Yeah.
think that they were necessarily completely without meat.
Maybe they didn't have chickens.
They just, when I think about that, I just think they weren't getting it their way, what they wanted. They just wanted something different.
Yeah.
They wanted
McDonald's.
the variety, the quote unquote spice of life.
Have it your way.
And maybe they were just missing all the sin and the false gods.
Yes.
And images and everything else they were used to.
How about the bricks without straw? They didn't miss that, but they didn't think about that.
No.
They're
No.
missing that vanity and
That's-
chasing the spirit.
That's why I said it the way I did. Oh, it was
We
so
need to-
much better in.
We need
Egypt
to move on
while we
and
were-
talk about Calvin here. All right. So Calvin, hey mom, what's this I hear about God's commands?
I love his face.
It said they've been done away with. No wonder the world is in complete chaos.
Right.
Sure, you'll be gone when it happens, but I won't.
That's awesome.
Wow. Wow.
That kind of hits home, right?
Yeah, put it out
Sounds
for
like
now.
Hezekiah, doesn't it? I mean, oh, well, I thought that was a pretty dumb thing.
This from the kid who wants everything because he thinks he deserves it. Hey, nobody told me about the consequences, all right?
Should have spanked his little hiney.
The concept, something I find people do whenever they read the Old Testament is the only thing they see is the consequences.
Yeah.
I don't, when people read about stoning their children, I don't think that they read anything but stoning their children and think how barbaric that is instead of, we're never supposed to reach that point.
Oh, that it was so much better in Egypt. Even though we were slaves, we still ate like kings.
Yeah, until they call CPS.
Okay,
No kidding.
for next week it'll be Beha'alotcha, sin for yourself. Numbers 13 through 15:41. The half Torah is in Yehoshua 2, 1 through 2:24, and the New Testament will be in Hebrews. Join me in the blessing, please. Blessed art you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us, who gave us the Torah of truth, Yeshua our Messiah, and life everlasting, set in our midst. Blessed art you, Lord our God, giver of Torah. Now in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, Yeshua Meshachenu, b'chayi olam, atah v'tekenu, Baruch atah Adonai notain ha-Torah. Alright, remember, no thunder. I'm not stealing Paul's thunder, so there's no thunder coming up here. And that didn't seem to work for me.
Shabbat.
Here we go.
That's because you took the thunder out.
Yep.
Alright. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they do not seek your statutes. Psalm 119, 155. If you guys were here Wednesday night not too long ago, you recall that Paul pointed out that the word salvation, whose name is salvation? Yeshua. Yeshua is salvation. Working it out, I went and pulled that right out of Psalm 119, 155. So Yeshua is far from the wicked.
Huh.
Yeshua is far from the wicked, for they do not seek your statutes.
Wow.
That just
He is the word.
He's the light.
John 1:1.
that scares me to death in a
Right.
Proverbs 1:7 fear of God kind of way.
Mm.
But it's about love.
Galatians 5:22 and 5:23.
Yep, it's all about love.
And what is
And this is love,
Corinthians?
that we walk according to his commandments. This is the commandment, just as you have heard from the beginning, that you should walk in it.
Corinthians 13, I think it is.
Shabbat
The
shalom.
love,
Shabbat
the love
shalom.
chapter. Shabbat
Oh, yeah,
shalom.
that's right.
Good job, Wade.
So I have a question, teacher.
Say thank